Okay, so this video is a video of modifications I made to the model since we got some feedback from Dan by way of SI yesterday, Dan the mold maker. But let's go through that email just to make sure we're covering everything. So meeting on Wednesday at 11 o'clock sounds great. I'd love to show you some of my projects and share some experiences I've had. So we'll look for you on Wednesday. Appreciate that. And Dan, the mold maker up here, he gave us some guidance on what we need to get done. First one are the couple images that were attached to this email and what we need to do from those images in order to get the appropriate draft analysis on this. So here are the images. This one, model 22 that we've been working on. And then the side view over here, it looks like, just by deducing from this, looks like he's using it as a guide a half a degree draft angle on this. And when he does, some of the yellow areas that were good at 2 degrees, now are not as good. And we have a little bit of the red and the green, which means it's not going to pull out of the mold very easily. So I addressed that. This is, the half a degree. This is our model 22 with a half a degree draft angle on it. So trying to emulate what he's using. And I made some modifications to the model in order to get something that looks like this. So a lot of those red areas are now yellow, small items are yellow. And I don't think that's going to be an issue. There's a little bit of a yellow area back here too. So I think it's probably okay. But if we need to tighten that up a little bit more, what it is, I created 2 new lofted draft features in here, lofted features, surface features I should say, in this, in order to make that model kind of resolve itself a little bit better. So that took a little bit of time, took some iterations to get there by creating those additional surfaces in here. But what it did is it resolved it. You think about lofts, whether it's a solid loft or a surface loft, if they're not treated properly with guide curves, or if there are too many guide curves in here, when you try to squeeze in one area, trying to constrain it in one area, it kind of bulges out in another area. And I think that's probably what was happening here. So creating those 2 new lofts, both in the top and the bottom and the back here, I think I'd resolved that pretty good. So let me show you what we did to resolve that. So again, we created 2 new lofts. I kept the old loft, kind of constrained it to the front, and then created a new one in the back. These are the guide curves, these gray lines in here. These are where we're going to have those deliberate draft angles on them. And as I mentioned in the email, the draft angle on this one had to be like 9. Actually, it was this one. This is a new one I put in. But this one had to be 9 degrees. It made it really pointy as it was coming out of that. And that may not be as desirable when we ultimately get the form that you're looking for. So with the lofts in the back and the front of the heel, these are the items in here that provide us with the guide curves. This one now is 2 degrees on the top, 2 degrees on the bottom, which is good. This one right there in the middle of the valley, that's a little bit different. That's up to 3 degrees. So 3 degrees in the top, 2 degrees in the bottom. 3 degrees is a lot better than 9 degrees, so it's not quite as pointy, but just a little bit pointy. And of course, this one over here on the other end of the valley, that's at 2 degrees in the top and 2 degrees in the bottom too. And the other ones are either 1 or 2 degrees. So that kind of keeps the model from getting too pointy on the side, but also provides some additional surface features in here that allow the model to pop out of the mold. So the other item in here were the draft angles on top. So let's take our email back and take a look at that. This item in here in regard to the draft angle on the cylinder walls of the core or the latch area, as I've been talking about, we made those changes in here. So it was 2 degrees in the top one, 5 degrees in the bottom one. And as Sai had mentioned, let's get rid of these sketches in here. At least some of them. Let's get rid of all of them. It is going to be 29.5 in the bottom, 29.5 millimeters in the bottom. If we actually measure that edge in here, it should give us that value. So it's 29.5 down in the bottom. And it's going to be a little bit wider on the top. It's almost 31.5. So it's about 2 millimeters in diameter, a little bit wider in the top. So that's probably not too bad, but print this out and make sure it fits in the leg of the walker correctly. And then the one in the bottom down here, this too is going to be a 5 degree draft. And if we take a look at the draft angle down there, this draft 2, I probably should rename that. If we right click and I can go to the modify feature, that's going to be 5 degrees in the bottom. And then it's 2 degrees on top if you were to go ahead and open that up. You see that 2 degree over here too. So that's it. I think those are the modifications that we needed. And yeah. So I would suggest this too. Go ahead and get it printed. Make sure it all fits. If there are other minor modifications that we need to make. Again, every time we make modifications to this, I want to make sure that we can make additional modifications later relatively easily. So if we need to get rid of some of these yellow areas, we could do that by increasing the draft angles that are on those guide curves in our lofts, and then we'll go from there.